YouTubers, welcome back to AZ2 Ozarks. It is turning to fall season and we are preparing to switch over the gardens from spring and summer crops over to fall crops. And I've been doing a lot of that in the greenhouse and out in the main beds. And that also means that we need to build the ends of the greenhouse. So before we had the greenhouse just the tied off plastic, and then we had a big storm that was damaging and we cut off the ends of the plastic, and now we need to build it to close it in to keep that nice warm air in there for the winter time. So I had to pull a whole bunch of weeds over here for the ends to go in, and Rick has put down weed barrier and gravel on the end. I did the same on the other side, but he hasn't yet put anything down. So I've been working really hard on trying to get these weeds under control, but then you can see this whole strip behind me that butts up to the greenhouse. It's between the greenhouse and the fence. It is crazy overgrown. I had put down all kinds of empty feed bags and things like that, trying to block the growth of the weeds. I had tires on top of black tarps, and it wasn't working out that great. So let me show you what we're working with here. Here is an area where it was slightly more effective, where I had feed bags down covering the weeds. And so it's kind of caused them to thin out and die down a little bit. But as you can see here, it wasn't thorough and it wasn't totally effective. My Sunjo lawnmower, which is my little manual push lawnmower, cannot handle weeds that are really more than 2 inches tall. It really doesn't do well. I don't want to do the weed whacker in here because I don't want to risk hitting the plastic side, and then the alternative is opening up the greenhouse and doing a weed whacker, but at the same time, I don't want all of this stuff blowing into the greenhouse. I don't want all kinds of seed heads and everything inside the greenhouse because I have my own struggle of weeds in there. So I can't think of a better way than to manually pull these. And I've been manually pulling a lot of weeds, and I can tell you it takes a long time. So I guess I better stop yapping and get started. I have my first wheelbarrow full of weeds, and I've made it probably right about 10 feet in. So you can see I'm not getting them completely pulled up, just mostly shortened. I try to pull them out by the roots where I can, but a lot of it's crabgrass, and it puts off runners and everything, and some of the roots are really hard to get out. But the idea is to get it really short so I can see the ground, and then work on leveling out like things like this where there's big clumps, make it very hard for uneven walking, get it smoothed out, and then I'll probably run the Sunjo through and make sure everything's cut real short, then put down a weed barrier, hopefully, and then maybe we'll be in business with that. What I call weeds in the garden area is really the very same stuff that we call grass in the pasture for the cattle. So I just bring my wheelbarrow over and I dump it out so that the cattle can eat it, and they like it just the same as any other grass. So there it is, my pile of weeds for the cows to eat. Look what I just came across. I was clearing the weeds here next to the fence, and here is a raspberry plant. It's not like thriving and doing amazing, but it's alive. Back in the early summer, I planted some raspberry canes along this fence thinking that I could have raspberries growing along, and really it became so overgrown that I figured that they were just not going to work out. But look at this. If I can keep this clear, maybe we'll have some raspberries next year. I'm pulling weeds in a very dirty. Sasha came over to keep me company. Hey girl. She's a good girl. We're getting a little bit of those fall colors coming in. Now we have the plastic hung over the second greenhouse, but here, let me show you what we have going on. We are connecting it to the first greenhouse as opposed to having them as two freestanding greenhouses. And so we had an extra 5 feet that will be this space here between the two greenhouses, but it will be attached. The problem comes in connecting it to the wiggle wire on the top. So when it was just an end, you could work out the end, but this, the plastic will be coming, well, it'll be sealing us out. So Rick's idea is to get the wiggle wire up there and then to start working down one side and then come back and work down the other side. And ideally that will allow it to work him out as he's working the plastic in. So we'll see how this is going to work out. Do you hear that rain? I'm stuck in the greenhouse because it's raining so hard. So we have a big problem with aphids here in the greenhouse. And let's see if we can zoom in on some of them. And they're really doing a number on these plants. And so I ordered a package of ladybugs. And we are going to release them in here because now the greenhouse is enclosed completely. So, I mean, I wouldn't say they can't get out, but they're going to be pretty well kept in here. And so let's see what they look like. Oh, wow. Look at those ladybugs. It's crawling on you. You want to just set them down on the ground there and let them find their way? All right, I bet they're pretty hungry. They've been in transit for almost 6 days. So you little ladybugs, go eat. Seek and destroy the aphids. Maybe put them like this.
They tickle. There's aphids on there.
Now you can see the full 105 feet of the greenhouse has been constructed, and we actually had our first frost already, and so I ended up pulling out almost all of the summer plants from the outdoor garden. I have planted some fall/winter crops such as carrots, cabbages, things like that. We have also added the end cap to both sides of the greenhouse, so it's keeping it nice and steamy during the day in there and generally keeping the frost off. So what you see is they used wood framing and they put in a door. There is a latch on the outside here. So they used wiggle wire to attach the plastic. They used the metal pieces screwed into lumber in order to affix the wiggle wire. And my son actually handcrafted this handle here. It's kind of cute. And so let's go inside. and it is steamy in here. Some of the tomatoes are doing okay. We had 3 nights of frost that got down into the upper 20s. But there are some of the tomatoes down towards the end. I think it's the white and yellow varieties that didn't fare quite as well. Additionally, the roselle over here, everything that was touching the plastic got frostbite, but you can see some of the plant that's out here towards the center is okay. But generally everything's doing well and the greenhouse is working as it should. Come for a different angle of the framing here for the opening. And aside from extending our season into the fall a little bit, and maybe even into the winter, depending on how well we can keep those crops going, I'm also excited about beginning our season earlier next year. So being able to plant in the greenhouse prior to the outside dates. I don't think I'll grow any tomatoes outside next year. The tomatoes inside did way better, and same thing with the pepper plants. I don't even think I'll mess with them outside. You can see here that I still have a banana pepper plant, still putting on flowers and fruits, and same thing with the jalapeno pepper. And these have been not at all affected by the frost. So I'm just gonna try and keep everything going as long as possible. Over here you can see lots of spinach and beets. I keep harvesting the outer leaves, so we keep eating those. And over here is the new section, and we just have the weed barrier down, and the black tarp, and that'll help kill the grass before we start planting in the spring. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to keep following our adventure.